Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. As you can see, it's cold outside. Do I look like either A, fragrance Sith Lord, or B, a fragrance junkie standing on the corner waiting for my next hit of Dracar Noir? Yeah.
I'm an addict.
Today, we are keeping things positive. We're talking about fragrances that exceeded expectations when they came out. Fragrances that delivered in every single way. Because that'll get you in a way better mood than fragrances that had a lot of expectations and then came out and sucked. Everything I talk to you guys about here today is gonna be linked in the description. Feel free to check it out. It's down below me, like the video. And the fragrances are in no particular order. Let's jump straight into it with this one, Guerlain's LOM Idol Intense. Now, why do you need to know about this one? Why did this one exceed expectations? Well, there are a few different reasons, at least in my opinion. The first reason, which is the most important reason, is it smells good, like really good. To be fair, most fragrances in this line do, but still. Ooh, I blasted my finger. That smells nice. Yeah, real nice. Yeah, that's bloody good, that. So this has almond, cardamom, leather, and rose, along with a bit of a smoky nuance to it. It's similar in a lot of ways to LOM Idol Eau de Parfum. Obviously, it makes sense, they're in the same line. Also has some rich sweetness underneath. Tonka, vanilla, sandalwood as well. Absolutely fantastic for fall and winter time. Really good performance, projects, lasts a long time, gets you noticed, stands out against most of the other popular fragrances that are out there today. And one of the better parts, it is cheaper than pretty much every other LOM Idol fragrance at discounters, other than the original Eau de Toilette. So while LOM Idol Eau de Parfum is getting all the love and extreme as well, you can pick this one up for about $20 less than those, and it's gonna perform just as well, if not better. It's going to get compliments just like those, and it stands out in a very positive way, just like those. So it doesn't get hyped as much, doesn't get talked about as much, but it's cheaper and pretty much just as good. All right, guys, before we head to the next fragrance, I just ruined the strip, no! It's not that serious, I can still spray on. Before we head to the next fragrance, here are some codes that you can use to save money across different websites. Be aware of that JOMASHOP code, or codes, I should say. They only work within the JOMASHOP app, and on November 18th, there was a change. So if you're trying to use the old codes and you're like, hey, why does that not work? That's why. Then there's also codes for the Perfume Box, Beauty House, Fragflex, Max Aroma, and more. So you can take those discounted prices at those sites and say, that ain't discounted enough, and discount it some more. All right, next fragrance, Paco Rabanne's Invictus Parfum. When it comes to the Invictus DNA, for a lot of people, it can be a little bit played out. So we're talking about that original Invictus style, which carried over to Invictus Intense, Invictus Aqua, Invictus Legend, you get the idea. And it also permeated out into other fragrances, both designers and clones. And so you would think, with Invictus going back to that DNA, that maybe they would release something that just felt, yeah, played out. Boring, maybe. Enter Invictus Parfum. Not only did they sleek up and modernize the bottle, they did the fragrance as well. It goes back to that original Invictus style, but it classes things up a little bit. It dials down that bubble gum a little. And you get a fragrance that's very sexy and versatile, and while it's not necessarily mature, it is a little more sophisticated than the Invictus fragrances that came before it. It has a great soapy clean aspect to it, and I actually find myself really loving how it smells, which is interesting because I typically don't really go for Invictus style fragrances that much. But this one is really well done, also has great performance, and of course, is a compliment puller like you would expect from an Invictus fragrance. Just really well done. Then we've got Varvatos Artisan, which in terms of presentation, I think looks fantastic, which is interesting because at the end of the day, it kind of looks like they took the Artisan bottle, that kind of basket weave, and just spray painted it silver. Almost like you've got some dude in the Varvatos factory, I know this isn't how it works, but almost like you have a dude in the Varvatos factory who has these bottles and just a can of spray paint, and he's doing this, and then every so often he's like, huffing in. Oh, it's great!
Never underestimate the power of spray painting things gold. It triples the value instantly.
It's almost like that, but actually not like that at all. And somehow I think it looks awesome. I think most of you will agree. It looks pretty good. Now this one from discounters, not very expensive. Varvatos, they get marked off a lot. And this one you can find right around 30 bucks. I think sometimes even a little bit less than that if you go for the smaller size bottle. So great bang for your buck. And it smells a little similar to Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. It's that type of fresh, clean, elegant vetiver. You know, it doesn't go overly smoky or earthy or anything. Great for the office. Really nice, high-end smelling designer fragrance for spring, summer, and early fall. Now, admittedly, if you're a younger guy who's more into like sweet fragrances, really loud fragrances, this probably won't really appeal to you that much. But for people that are fans of vetiver who want an easily accessible scent in that style, this is so good for the price point. Oh, it's Prada LOM Intense up next. This one is pricey at discounters. We went from one that's like 30 bucks or whatever to one that's closer to 100, which I guess at the end of the day, that's not that expensive when you compare that price point to retail prices for fragrances. But you know, we get spoiled a lot of times with these discounts and everything. It's me trying to form words with my mouth. Can't do it. It's tough.
So me think, why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
So Prada LOM Intense, this is one that especially people that love fragrances, fragrance community, it's one that gets a lot of love and has gotten a lot of love, and for good reason. Smells great. Quality really high. And it takes that kind of soapy Prada iris from the original LOM and dials down the powder a little bit, makes it more masculine with this leather note that's added. Really sexy but classy at the same time. Perfect for fall and winter. Good evening scent as well. A great fragrance that you can wear casually, and it's gonna just elevate whatever you have on, whatever you're doing. And then also is very easy to wear to like more formal occasions as well. The issue with this one is, like I said, the price, and the reason that price has gone up is because it's been more difficult to get in the US over the past couple years, I'd say. But as of this video, you can still find it, so no worries there. Knock on wood. Let's change gears. Polo 67 from Ralph Lauren. Now I know that some people are gonna see this and be like, man, Polo 67 is nothing special. Polo 67 is, you know, simple, just like a fresh little clean thing, who cares? But I'll tell you, from my perspective and to my own taste, I think they crushed it with this. I'll tell you why. At full retail, yeah, we're talking prices again. At full retail, not very expensive. When you compare this to most of the other releases out there nowadays, especially a lot of the new ones coming out, this one is cheap for a new release. You can get a 75 ml size bottle for under $100, or you can get this 4.2 ounce size bottle for just above $100. And at discounters, it's gonna be much less than that, and as time goes on, it should drop even more. Now, one thing with this, even though it's cheap at full retail, at discounters, it's not marked off that heavily just yet. At JOMASHOP, for example, 95 bucks for this size bottle. So yeah, it's less, but not a whole lot less. Part of the reason for that is it's popular. As people have smelled this and worn it, they want it, and that causes prices to kind of stay up high for a while. But I do anticipate that as time goes on, this should drop, and it should drop by a good amount, which will make it even better. Now, this one is kind of in the overall style of like YSL myself. It doesn't smell the same as that, but it's accomplishing the same thing. Extremely versatile, easy to wear, big compliment puller. It's a grab and go fragrance. It doesn't have a lot of fuss to it. It's something that you can wear whenever you want, and you can feel confident that everyone that you come into contact with is gonna like how it smells, which is one of the reasons that I've worn this so much this year. As far as new releases, this is actually one of my more worn new releases of the year, and it's because it is just so easy to wear. I would just sit it on my desk, and if I hadn't sprayed something on and I was gonna leave, I would just grab it, spray, and go. And the performance is pretty good as well. Really nice, appealing, fresh, fruity opening, good amount of sweetness, but not overly sweet, a little bit aromatic, very clean, easy to wear. We're gonna switch gears once again to Stronger With You Leather up next. This is a Middle Eastern exclusive fragrance, which means you're gonna be looking for this at discounters. You're not gonna find it at Macy's or Ulta, for example. Amazing performance, lasts forever, projects very, very well, so it's gonna get you noticed. And it's a wonderful twist on that Stronger With You DNA. It still has the warmth, the sweetness, that chestnut feeling that you would expect from Stronger With You, only it's enhanced with leather, in case the name didn't give it away. And it's a sweet leather, you know, it's not off-putting, it's not difficult to pull off, and really, even though it's Stronger With You leather, that's maybe not the actual focal point of the fragrance. It's more so that sweetness, that warmth from the chestnut and a bunch of vanilla. For a lot of people, this is the best exclusive fragrance in the Stronger With You lineup. It really does depend on taste, of course, because there's also tobacco, amber, and oud, and all three of those are good to differing levels. With Middle Eastern exclusive fragrances, a lot of times, you know, for the price that you have to pay to pick them up, it may not fill you with joy when you get them in, but this is one that I think for the vast majority of people, it does. It does the job, and even though you have to pay maybe a little bit more to get this from a discounter than you would a normal Stronger With You, it's worth it. Wanted by Night is next from Azzaro. I love Wanted by Night. And I know that at this point, the Most Wanted, that's really where this is at as far as this line goes, right? The Most Wanted Parfum, those are the ones that are the most popular, and it's by a wide margin. But I keep coming back to Wanted by Night, and I like it even more today than when it first came out. It's very fruity and sweet, but it has this great spiciness underneath that gives it a unique feel. So you have in this fragrance cinnamon, mandarin orange, additional fruits, incense, cumin, tobacco, vanilla, cedar, leather. Like, there's a lot going on. It has great performance once again, so you're gonna get that elevated level of longevity and projection compared to most average fragrances out there. It's a compliment puller, but it smells, like I said, very unique. It's doing its own thing. And it stands out, in my opinion, even more today than when it first came out. It still has that sweetness, which most fragrances released nowadays have a good amount of sweetness. It just hits in a different way. It's not like that caramel toffee kind of sweetness, which is really prevalent nowadays. Price-wise, it's about 80 bucks, which is a big step up from where it used to be. Maybe a year after this was released, you could find it for about 30. But it has risen over time, it has become more difficult to find. But for now, like with LOM Intense, you can still find it without issues. I know people are like, how is it more difficult to find, but you can still find it without issues? What I mean by that is, it used to be basically flooding the market, which is why that price was low, that $30 price, but it's not available in such a huge supply anymore, so that's caused the price to rise. Then we got YSL Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent. This is another one that stands in a huge line of fragrances. The Y line is massively popular, but YSL Parfum stands out while still fitting in. So this one smells really similar to Y Eau de Parfum in a lot of ways. It still has that sweetness that Y EDP has, but dialed down a little bit. Has the performance, just like Y Eau de Parfum, so again, lasts a long time, projects heavily, but it's a little more classed up, a little more grown up compared to the EDP, while still having that mass appeal. So it's the type of fragrance where if you smell Y Eau de Parfum and you say, oh, this smells nice, but maybe it's a little too loud in the sweetness department for me. Or maybe it's too youthful. Maybe I want something a little more mature, very slightly more mature. That's where this comes in, and it absolutely shines. YSL Parfum smells amazing. Amazing. So in terms of notes, you have apple, ginger, grapefruit, lavender, sage, geranium, as well as a good amount of tonka as it dries down. During fall and winter, day or evening, this stuff will have you smelling amazing. Le Beau Le Parfum is my next choice, and this is one that works extremely well for me, like really, really well. This is also a line of fragrances that has kind of exploded in popularity as time has gone on. It used to be very difficult to find this in the US, but it is easier nowadays. So for me, Le Beau Le Parfum is more like fall, winter, spring. During summer, I would go Paradise Garden or the Eau de Toilette. But if you really like this one and you don't have one of the others, you can wear this during summer, just don't go as heavy. It's a mix of fresh and sweet. When you first spray it on, it's got pineapple in there and a good amount of coconut as well. There's a touch of iris, there's tonka as it dries down, cypress as well, so some additional woody notes. And yeah, it's just the way that the sweetness hits, it's this like magnetic, cozy, sexy, creamy kind of sweet that also is kind of loud, so cozy and loud at the same time in a way. Huge, huge compliment puller. This was my most complimented fragrance of last year, 2023. If you wear this fragrance a lot out and about, you'll get noticed. And then we have Valentino Wo Intense wrapping it up, which officially is discontinued, but you can still find it. Valentino has pretty much switched everything up and gone to the Born in Roma line. And saying that, don't get confused. I'm saying Valentino Wo Intense right here, not Born in Roma Intense, which is also really, really good. And when it comes to discontinuation, I know it gets crazy with fragrances. It's hard to keep track of what is or isn't discontinued. Is there fire where there's smoke and all this? But on Valentino's website, it actually listed this as discontinued not that long ago, and it's still out of stock on there, so that's where I'm getting it from. But you can find it at full retail at Nordstrom. You can find it at 1 or 2 discounters. And at full retail, this was $110 bucks. That is an insane deal compared to most things nowadays. In terms of notes, mandarin orange, vanilla, iris, leather, and tonka. It's gonna be compared sometimes to Dior Homme Intense, kind of in that style. Once again, amazing performance. The quality for that price point is nuts. It's a sweet makeup-y iris, and it has that tonka underneath that kind of melts together with the iris to give it an additional sweet boost. And then the leather gives it this great edge. It actually dials back that makeup-y aspect from the iris a little bit when you compare it to something like Dior Homme Intense. But this is right up there with DHI as far as just the overall quality. Great release. So there we go, guys. There are 10 different fragrances that I feel personally outperformed expectations for them. And with some of these, that was kind of hard to do, but they still did it. Let me know in the comments below some fragrances that you personally got in or smelled where your expectations were here or wherever, and the fragrance just absolutely crushed what you thought it was gonna be. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.